Hey guys, it's Maymay, and today we're going to make some super fast cards using our Brother Scan and Cut and the built-in images. Now, some of you know I bought a Brother Scan and Cut 2 a couple of months ago, not too long ago, and I've had so many questions about it. So I want to take just a second to show you some cool things about it. I've shown the scan feature so many times in other videos, but today I want to talk about this pattern feature. If you tap on the pattern, it opens up this second page where all of these built-in patterns are housed. Now these come with your machine. You don't do anything to get them. They're just automatically there. You have shapes, all different kinds of shapes. We have 10 pages of built-in shapes, which I think is amazing because here's what I want you to think. Punches, right? This is like having 10 pages of different punches without having to have a place to store them. If you need a shape, you come right here and you can cut it out instantly. Love that. Look at this one. These are images, and see all of the built-in images here. I think that's super cool. Let's click on apple and donut and look how it opens up different food. And then let's go back and we'll click on camera and glove and it opens up different things, and it's even 2 pages inside of there of images. Now these are built in. You plug up your machine, you turn it on, and these are accessible for you instantly. Now let's click on the words. These are 13 pages of built-in words you can use for your projects. Like I said, plug and play. That's what I love about this guy. No software, no nothing to get what I'm showing you today. Although software does work with the machine, you don't have to have it to get what I'm showing you here. You have borders, 11 pages of borders. Love it. Fonts, which we're going to use today. I'm going to go out of that for a minute. And then these are quilt designs. So if you're a quilter, or if you just want to make some really cool quilted cards, look how neat that is. Okay, so we're going to make some cards, and we're going to do a couple things first. I'm going to go into the shapes, and I'm going to find a shape that I want to use on the front of my card. And this is what I had in mind, this scalloped square. Now we've opened that scallop square and it comes up at 3.94 height and width, but I don't want it to be that size, so I'm going to change it. I want this to be a mat on the front of an A2 size card, so I want it to be 4 inches wide by 5 1/4 tall. So I'm going to adjust the height to 5 1/4. Oop, one down. Now as I moved that, you might have noticed that it also adjusted the width. The lock proportions was on. To unlock it, you're going to hit this up arrow and sideways arrow, and now we can adjust them separately. Now I want the width to be 4 inches. So I'm just going to bring that to 4. And now I know this is perfectly sized for the front of my card to be mats on the front. Now one thing I don't love how stretched this image looks, and that's just because of the size I'm trying to make it. I think I'm going to change my height down to 5 inches. Now that I have my image set to the size I want to tell it how many I want. Now I'm going to make a little card kit for my mom. I think that'll be a sweet little gift. And it says here 1. I want to cut 6 of these guys. So I'm going to add numbers till I get to 6, and we're ready to go, and I'm going to say set. Now it tells me there's not enough space on the mat, and I can only have 4 on the mat, so that's okay. I'm going to go okay and change it to 4. I can always cut more. The other cool thing is now I think I'll make her 8 because I'm going to load the mat twice, so I'll make 8 cards instead of 6, and we'll say okay. Now you can see them on the mat, correct? Now, these are already pushed up against each other pretty tight, so I don't have to waste any paper. And the cool thing is, it looks like I can probably use an 8.5 by 11 piece, so that'll be even better. Now, if I needed it to be any tighter, I can use these buttons up here if I want to move things around, but I'm not going to do that. I'm going to leave it just like it is, and I'm going to say okay. Now, these are ready to cut, so I'm going to cut those out real quick. Now, my mom's favorite color is green, so I'm going to use some green. I'm going to tell it to cut and go. Now, I've shown this tip before. Here's what I do. I do not unload my mat from the machine. I just peel off the space I'm not using from the paper. So I just take this portion off so you can see there's the trash. And then I take these images off that we just did so you can see how cool that looks, right? And I leave my mat loaded. This is just kind of a lazy way for me. Instead of unloading, reloading, unloading, reloading, this is how I do it. So I peel these guys off. Now I decided I'm going to use some brown too, just to give a little mix of color. So we're going to use a green and a brown paper. And what I do is I place this onto the mat. And there's kind of a firm bed here at the top. And I press that down and then just run my hand under to stick this. Now, I have restuck my mat using the Zig 2-way glue pen, so it is pretty sticky and it holds real well. So we're ready to go. I'm going to say okay to finish that cut, but I'm going to cut it again. So I'm just going to click cut and start, and it will cut the very same thing for me that it just did. So now I'm totally done with this image. I don't need it anymore for my project, so I'm going to say home. It's going to say, wait a minute, do you want to delete these? If you wanted to save these for other projects, you could certainly save this because you've already sized it and got it ready to go. I'm not going to save it. That's something I can do pretty quick, so I'm just going to say okay to delete them. Now I'm going to go back to pattern. Now we're going to go into those fonts. And there are some that I think are really cool. I love this font here. I've used it a good bit. Let me show you the other option here is this one. But I'm going to go back to the one that I love, which is this guy. Now I want a capital E. When you come in here, the shift button is already pushed for you in case you were to write a sentence, so your first letter would be capitalized. But that's all I need is a capital E, just like this. And I'm going to say okay. Now I need to resize it to fit on the front of my cards. And I know I want it to be 3 by 4. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to tell it to go larger. And I can see it changing here. Now, it's going to keep the proportions because it's a built-in font. And the thing is, if you don't keep the proportions, it can get skewed. So we're going to make it 4 inches tall. And we're going to go with whatever width it gives us. There we go. Let me see if I can come down. There we go. So that's going to be 4 by 1.8. So it's a very narrow letter, but I like the way it looks. So I'm going to go with that. Now I'm going to say set. Now that I've set it, it's here and ready to go. Now I need to go back and add another E by doing the same thing. So I'm going to click it, add that E, tell it okay, change the size. And I'm going to do this until I get 8 of them on my mat, and that way I'll have just enough for all of my cards. Now, if you were going to do different colored papers for this part, you would just do 4 on your mat would be just fine, but I'm going to use the same paper, so I'm going to go ahead and do all 8 here. Now, I don't want these to be that close together. I can move them just by touching and dragging, okay? So that's super easy, and I can also click this button and I can move them around to make sure I'm not wasting any paper based on how my paper is. See that? It's like paper saver basically. So I'm going to keep doing that till I have 8 on my mat and then we'll cut. So now I have 8 of my E's. By the way, that's my mom's initial. I just thought I would say. But I have 8 of the E's on my mat and they're done so that they will save paper. So I'm only going to use this top portion of my 12 by 12 paper. If you have, and you should if you have this machine, you'll have access to the Scan and Cut Canvas, which is a free online software for the machine. You can set this up in the software without having to add each one every time. But just for quick, I wanted to turn on the machine and go. This is how I'm doing it. So now I'm going to click OK. Everything's laid out on the mat like I want it. I'm going to say OK. I'm going to tell it to cut. Now here's the thing. If you're changing papers, if you're going from a paper to a cardstock or what have you, make sure you adjust the cutting depth of your blade. Real easy to do. I'll show you how to do that. So I find that 6 works really well for me on my machine. To do this, you just lift up that little arm, pull out the little blade housing, and you twist this little guy to set the depth. And I'm going to leave it on 6. But you can play around and find out what works for the cardstocks that you like to use. You'll get there real quick. That's pretty easy to do, just twirling that little guy around. Now we're ready to cut. So it's cut all my E's out, and that's the last thing I'm going to cut on the Scan and Cut. So I'm going to go ahead and unload the mat by clicking unload. And now I can peel this away and reveal all of my E's. And there they are, ready to be made into note cards. So let's head to my work surface and we'll put these together. So now that I have everything cut out, I'll show you I have my stack of E's here. Look how pretty these are. I just love these. So cool. Okay, then I have my green and my brown mats for my card front. I've decided I want to emboss them. Again, this is still quick and easy, but I get to use a lot of my supplies that are fun to play with. So I'm going to put these into a polka dot folder. I just think texture on texture will be cute. And I'm going to run each of these through the Cuttlebug and just emboss them. So all of these guys are embossed with that cute little polka dot folder. And a top tip, I ran them through 2 at a time to save time. So as long as you're not using too thick of a cardstock, you can do that. I even ran these 2 together, the brown and the green. So just ran them through 2 at a time. That saved a good bit of time. And I have already cut my card bases. These are just white card bases, and I'm doing that on purpose because these are going to be note cards for Mom, and I have no idea what she may use them for, so I want to leave the inside blank for her. But on the back, and I'm going to flip these over, I want to do a little stamping right here. So from my latest scripture stamp set, this is anchored. I'm going to use that fish right there. I think it is so cute, and I love using it on the back of cards as like a signature. And I know that my mom is a believer like me, so this will be something cool for her. She'll enjoy this as well. So I'm going to use a different ink. I'm not going to use a black. I'm going to find something that coordinates with the front. So this is pistachio ink from Memento, a very pale green, kind of almost an olive, and I think that'll be good on the back, not to be too dark, but just to be something to have there. And then if mom wants, she can come back here and just sign her initials as well, and that will be super cool. So there it is, that little green fish. I'm going to stamp that on all of them. I want to show you how I prep mine with foam tape. I'm going to pop up the E's on the front of the card, and I like to use these little black foam dots. By the way, a lot of the supplies can be purchased from my store today. I'll put a link below to my store so you can go find all the supplies. This tool is back in stock, and I love it for this application. See how easy it makes me able to get that exactly where I want it. I just stick one edge of that foam tape to that little pokey tool, which has become my most popular tool in my craft room. And so I'm going to put foam tape on the back of all of the E's and get them ready to go on the front of the card. I just like to work in assembly line fashion. I think that makes things go super quick. Can't you see pushing one of these out as a birthday gift like in no time? Or maybe you forgot some special event, you wanted to give somebody something special. Everybody likes something with their monogram on it, right? I know we do in the South. So I'm going to finish this and we'll get right back to putting them together. So now I've got my card bases prepped, my E's prepped, my mats prepped, and it's time to assemble like assembly line. So here's what I do. I'm going to use my art glitter glue. By the way, this is also in my store. This one I get asked about all the time. This is like the most popular thing that I ever show. So if you're interested in it, it is in the store available. And I don't have my fine metal tip on it. Sometimes I take that tip off when I'm doing a project like this where I need to use where I need to glue a larger surface. I'll take that tip off, but I'm still not putting very much glue on. I'm kind of scrubbing it on the back, okay? So there is our base, and now look, our E is gonna go right on top. Look how cute this is gonna be. She's gonna love these for her cards, like if she's sending out thank yous or even birthdays, whatever she wants to say. Another thing that is super cute to do when you're doing these kind of gifts, if you want, I want to show you this too. I'm using this tool. I tell you, I use it for everything. I'm using it to help me take these backers off. But another thing that's really cool to do is to go through your stamp collection and stamp on some little pennants or some little flags or something, a bunch of different sentiments. And when you give a card like this or a card kit like this that doesn't have any specific sentiment on it, you can add a bunch of options for them to use. So if you cut out maybe happy birthday or happy anniversary, they could then stick it inside depending on what they were making the card for. Look how pretty that is. I think she's going to love it. All right, I need to do the rest of it. So here's our stationery cards all put together, and I've added 8 envelopes to the back. And let me show you how cute. Oh, I love that. Okay, so there's several options for how to give this, okay? What I'm going to do is take some baker's twine, and I'm going to take a lot because I want to use a good bit of baker's twine. Matter of fact, I'm probably going to double it because I think it'll be cute. So there's that one. Let's pull some more out. This is a kind of a craft or khaki color. I really like this color, baker's twine. I don't remember where I got it. I think Walmart, I think. All right, so I'm just going to line this baker's twine up together, and I'm going to lay the cards face down, okay, because that will matter. So we're going to lay it face down. I'm going to cross it over in the back, just like this, and then I'm just going to twist up. So that will kind of encapsulate all of our cards. And you can work your tension out when you get back to the front, so don't stress too much about that because I can pull and tug at this point to get it a little more tight if I want it to be. Now I'm going to pull it snug, wrap this around, and start the beginning of a knot, just like this, okay? Then, using one of my favorite tips in the world, I'm going to take my reverse tweezers and grab this knot to hold it still for me while I tie my bow. Go ahead and adjust the bow while the tweezers are in there, and then I'm going to remove them. Now I'm going to pull it tight just to lock it into place. Now I want to tie another bow on top. So I'm going to take my tweezers again, and I'm going to grab that middle knot, just hold it in place, and then we're just going to tie again. That'll just keep you from pulling out the one underneath as you tie this bow on top. And then release it, and you get a double bow. Cute, huh? All right, and then I'm just going to trim any excess off, and this becomes a really super cute gift just like that. tied and ready to go. Now, you have other options, and I've done several different things on my channel to show you how to do that. You could also, this is one I did for a Mother's Day example once, a little purse. This would be a super cute way to give these guys, and I'll link the video for this below, as well as some other things I have for card gifts. I'll link those little containers below. I hope you enjoyed that today, and hey, plug and play with your brother Scan and Cut. Super quick, no software, no nothing, although all the software videos are coming too, but I think this was a neat way to get you started making some fun cards. Thanks so much for watching today, guys. If you're interested in any of the supplies I use, that link for my store will be below, and head over to Facebook, follow us on Maymay Made It, like us on Maymay Made It, follow us on Instagram, Twitter, Snapchat, Periscope, Huzza, you name it, we're out there, so go check us out. Thanks so much for watching. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.